You're watching the local news network, Pagosa Springs. Last week, the Facebook Journalism Project, in partnership with the Lenfest Institute for Journalism and the Local Media Association, announced the award of an additional 350 small grants to community news organizations across the U.S., including 7 to media groups in Colorado. Pagosa Local News was one of the 7 organizations to receive a grant. The grants were a quick infusion of funding to support media organizations that had to shift their operations because of COVID-19.
With COVID-19, obviously everybody's interested in this news. It's literally a worldwide story. And what we've seen, at Facebook, and I think what everybody's just noticing as the crisis continues, is people are really turning to local news organizations for information about the communities where they live. And knowing that, we thought, how can we provide some assistance that's going to help those local news organizations tell those stories in local communities. And so, we made some grant money available through our community network program. $5,000 grants to go towards things like, you need the internet because you're working from home as a reporter, and maybe you don't normally have to have like a really solid connection so consistently throughout the day. Maybe you need a computer literally because you normally work on a desktop in an office. And again, you've been asked to work from home because, we're all practicing social distancing right now. Those little things are unforeseen cost, right? But it makes the difference between whether or not a local journalist can tell the stories that a community needs to hear right now. Really critical and life-saving information that matters to you, to your friends, to your family, to those people that you care the most about.
Facebook's support of local community news organizations is not something new. The Facebook Journalism Project, started several years ago, builds tools, trainings, and partnerships with local news around the world.
We launched the Facebook Journalism Project about 3.5 years ago. And, one of the things that we called out when we launched the Facebook Journalism Project, which really gives us, the architecture to work more collaboratively with publishers so that Facebook can build tools that help sort of nurture the communities that publishers are able to build on the platform, but also grow programs that help publishers off of Facebook, right? Because, Facebook's only part of the way that you connect with the community where you live. We want that to be a meaningful connection, but we also want to help at our best facilitate more direct connections with your audience so that whether or not somebody comes to Facebook, they're able to find local news and information. And ultimately that, audience member that you might find via Facebook can become a more direct supporter of your journalism.
Although Facebook is not a news or media platform, they believe that they have one thing in common with local news, and that is they both build community.
We want to make sure that Facebook is a place where people can find news and information about their community, right? Like, community is at the heart of Facebook's mission, and local news is like a critical piece of community, right? I think local news and information is like the heart of a community.
Facebook is releasing a second wave of larger grants to news organizations, which opened up on April 13th because of an overwhelming response to the recent grant to support media organizations during COVID-19. Their hope is that they are providing and will continue to provide critical funding to media organizations that are reporting on the news that communities need the most.
I think what we want to happen is just have this money, this funding, support the critical work of reporting, on COVID-19 right now, helping people understand what they need to do to be safe and informed during this really, really extraordinary moment. And I think, it's not just about right now in this moment, it's what happens next and how people sort of get back to, whatever sense of normalcy returns and on whatever timeline that happens. But I think local news publishers are going to be really critical in helping folks navigate, not just now, but what happens next. So I think at its best, this funding just supports that work and helps ensure that, that news is there for people that need it in a really critical time.
On their website, the Facebook Journalism Project specifically references the need of rural communities because of the gap of resources that exists in rural areas, or as some refer to them as news deserts.
If you're in a rural area, your source of local news, there may just not be as many, and some places don't have a local source of news and information. So, we do call that out as something in our grant program. We would love to help make sure that people in underserved communities are getting local news and information right now.
Pagosa Local News is especially grateful to the Facebook Journalism Project for being selected as a grant recipient. We look forward to bringing our community informative, inspiring, and hopeful stories during this unprecedented time. Thanks for watching this edition of Local News Pagosa Springs.